Sportsmanship, leadership, inspire, determination, excitement. Welcome to the Slide Podcast. Your hosts, Jen and Aaron, are on deck and ready to introduce the current stars of Little League Baseball. So grab your favorite sports drink, fasten your chin strap, and get ready to go inside the chalk lines of our Little League fields. Here are your hosts, Coach Jen and Coach Aaron.
Hello, Slide listeners. I don't like that one too much. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Slide Podcast. I am your host, Coach Aaron, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Coach Jen. How are you doing, Jen?
Good evening, everyone. I'm doing well.
She took a bow.
I did. Y'all couldn't see it, but I took a bow.
Yeah. Oh, so it's been about a week and a half since we recorded. We've got a lot of stuff going on, and it's been hard to squeeze in days because our fall season has now started, and Jen's got practice. We've got practice. Everyone that we want to talk to's got practice. So it's a busy time in the youth baseball world. But Jen, what's going on with you?
Oh, so in the world of ragball commissioner, let's see, trying to get uniforms handed out.
Oh, that's right, commish.
Commish.
Yep.
I'm going to get a Clemson hat on. C for commish.
New.
We can talk about that another time, how big of a Clemson fan you are. No, just I have to keep telling myself, this is oftentimes the first experience these people have had with youth baseball. And so, I get 15 questions a day, all from different parents and coaches. When's our uniforms going to be in? And it's still 3 weeks away from the first game. And it's you'll get your uniforms. Everybody's going to get them, I promise. Trying to coordinate, picking up uniforms, getting them to the right people, making sure that they have the correct uniforms, all the things that go on behind the scenes, behind even the coach's eyes, lots of times that has to get done for the season to go on.
How much do you get paid for that role of a commissioner?
$1 million.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Just the joy of doing it.
That's right. You get all the heartache and the pain that comes along with it too.
If the worst thing that happens is somebody got their hat left out of their order, I'm doing all right.
Well, we need to have conversations. The fact that we don't even get hats this season. I know we didn't last season. Nope, we didn't get them last season either.
You can have mine. I'm not going to wear it.
Well,
I get your point.
I got to go buy an Angels hat. But according, and maybe our listeners would understand, but I guess I'm failing to, but because we got the sub-laminated jerseys, coaches don't get hats now.
Because of the price? That's what happens?
I don't know.
Tit for tat?
I guess. But who knows? I don't manage the whole financial side of Little League, but we're going to learn soon, though.
Sounds like we are.
We asked for a permission to come to a board meeting of one of our local youth organizations in the area. So we're excited to be at our first board meeting.
And it's all about coming together for the kids, period.
That's it.
That's what it's all about.
Well, we're starting our second season in 8U. It's fun. We got probably one of our younger teams, but we've got kids that listen. That's all you can ever ask for because, I look and I know that there's some teams that have a lot of talent, but sometimes talent turns away the ears sometimes and kids stop listening because they think they've already arrived. But anyway, we've got some great kids and I'm excited. We played a scrimmage last week and we sort of held our own with one of the bigger teams. It was awesome.
When's your first game?
Thursday night. So anyway, I'll make sure to give all of our listeners a little update as we move on from there. But Jen, I think our guests are waiting. So we'll be right back with you guys. So Jen, we're joined back now with Mark Helsel, located out of Pennsylvania. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And I know Mark reached out to us Twitter. I think we first joined Twitter. And that whole Twitter universe is still foreign to me and Mark a little bit. But Jen shakes her head.
I can't do it.
I know. But anyway, very fortunate that you reached out to us. I watched some videos, some clips, some speeches, even your kickoff to the season. We got tryouts. Here's what to expect. And to tell you, go and listen to Mark speak. It'll pump you up and get you ready to go. And we've also got Bryson Mitchell here joining with us today. So Bryson is newly a part of the Slide team. He joins us from USC on campus, right, Bryson?
Just right off campus, right beside the football stadium, actually.
Bryson is helping us put together some marketing information and to get some of our paperwork together, right, Bryson?
Yeah.
We're figuring out all this new world of podcasting. But anyway, Mark, so thank you very much for being here with us this afternoon. And tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, you have some connection with baseball because you're here with us. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
It's funny. I say I have the baseball gene, and those people that have that know what I'm talking about. It's the weirdest thing. You love baseball. You can't get enough of baseball. And for some of us, we don't even know why, because I grew up in a family that my dad didn't even play baseball. My dad literally didn't know anything about baseball. So it's kind of strange to me of why I would love this game so much, but I always did. I was one of those kids growing up in Altoona, Pennsylvania, wanted to be a major league player, and everything I did all the way from a little kid all the way to my senior year in college when the phone didn't ring and I realized that dream probably wasn't going to happen. Everything I did was with baseball in mind. So I'm a baseball junkie, I guess you would say.
You helped run US Elite Baseball, right?
I did. I started it 17 years ago, actually. So I'm the founder of the program. And now 17 years later, there's a ton of amazing people that I get to work with every day to keep this program rolling.
So what was travel baseball like 17 years ago? Because when I was growing up, and I'll give you just a time frame, I graduated in 96. So I was playing early 90s Pawnee League, but you don't see that much Pawnee League throughout the country now. And can't imagine what it was like 17 years ago.
It was definitely a lot different. The biggest thing I would say is it was much, much smaller, much, much more specific. When we first got in, the idea that we could form a team and go play really, really talented teams in other parts of the country was just so exciting. And when I first got started, the Canes were just getting started, Canes baseball, top program. And we used to have some titanic matchups against those guys, and the Dirtbags down in North Carolina were just getting started, and Norcal out in California and East Cobb Astros. They were some of the early programs that when we first got started were just really trendsetters. And it's become something different now. It's gigantic. It's big business.
It is.
Thousands and thousands of teams out there.
What gave you the idea to start something like that in your local community? What was the need that you saw?
It's a little bit selfish, a little bit self-centered. My son was 12 years old, and he looked at me at practice one day and said, "Dad, I want to play in the SEC." And he was, first of all, a kid that you would never have looked at and said, "Wow, there's a future SEC player." And I also recognize we're in a part of the country that the SEC is not knocking anybody's door down to come up here and recruit. So I said to him, I said, "If that's what you really want, we'll put a plan together. I'll go out and recruit other kids that actually want that. We will literally target, in other words, we'll march down a road with that specific goal in mind, not necessarily just the SEC, but Division I baseball." And so I formed a team, recruited kids from all over, said to the parents, "Look, if we're going to do this, we're going to have to do something radically different than what anybody else is doing, because look around you. What's everybody doing? They're playing local baseball and nobody's coming to find them." So we did it. And by the time my son was a sophomore, he had gotten a scholarship to Ole Miss and 21 other kids on the team. I don't know if you can see it, but the picture's in the background there. And that was our first team. And we went from 13U to 17U, a 4-year run. 100% of the kids got Division I scholarships. And that was the beginning of what we're still doing today.
Wow.
Holy crap. That's impressive.
That's social proof right there. Like, you know that you kind of got a good product when you can present that after 4 years. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Did he want to go to Ole Miss?
It's kind of a crazy story. He actually committed to TCU early, and then they switched conferences. I don't know if you remember when they were in the Mountain West, and then they switched to the Big East, and he didn't want to come back to the Big East school. So, hindsight's 20/20. I'm not sure it was the right decision, but he decommitted and ended up committing to Ole Miss.
Aren't they the Horned Frogs?
Yeah.
He probably didn't want to be a Horned Frog.
Well,
let's be honest.
We were just at West Virginia last weekend playing, and Randy Mazey, the head coach there, was the recruiting coordinator at TCU and recruited Christian there. So, it goes back, there's so many relationships over 17 years. They're just amazing.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. For anyone that's out there listening, there's no doubt that you guys put in so much hard work. But that just proves right there, if you create a plan and you really dedicate your life to something, you can accomplish anything. And I think that's where a lot of us fall short, is that dedication part.
Yeah. It's easy when you love what you're doing. Now, at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing. And this is a good point. There's a guy out in California. I always like to give this guy credit, Rob Bruno. He started the Norcal program. one of the all-time greatest guys in travel baseball. And he took me under his wing. And to this day, I still call him my mentor. But he opened up a whole new world to me. I remember him introducing me to Tim Corbin at Vanderbilt. And I'm sitting on the phone going, what in the world does Tim Corbin want to talk to me today about? I'm a nobody. Rob kind of recognized I kind of loved what I was doing, and I was probably going to do it for a long time. So I always like to give Rob all that credit because he changed our lives. He changed thousands of kids' lives, actually.
That's awesome. I can't imagine like how you guys even got connected back then, because the internet wasn't even like what
true.
it is today.
I'll make this short, but you asked a question. I got to tell you, this is a lesson for all of us. Serendipity, right? I used to take Christian out to spring training in Arizona every year. And when he was 14, we're out there and we're at an Arizona State game one night, Friday night. And Christian looks and says, Dad, I think that's Norcal over there. And I said, who's Norcal? He goes, Dad, that's the top ranked program in the country. And I said, well, if it is, let's go meet him. And of course, he's a kid. He thinks that's stupid. No.
Oh, yeah. Don't embarrass me, Dad.
I walk over and I say to Rob Bruno, didn't know who he was at the time. I said, you guys must be Norcal. He goes, yes, sir, we are. And you are? And he sticks out his hand and introduces himself. And we get to talking. And he says, well, hey, we're playing tomorrow. Why don't you come out and watch? Our 14U team's in town to play. So here we are the next morning, and we're getting ready to watch him play. And he says to Christian, hey, Christian, you're not on vacation. Grab a stick and jump in this cage and hit with us. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, at the time, they were the second ranked 14U team in the country. And last night, I didn't know these people. And this morning, my son's hitting in the cage with them. And then he invites him to play at the WWBA with him a few weeks later. And my son's world changed again. Who does that?
Right.
So I always think about stories like that. And I think I want to make sure I'm paying it forward too, because in some ways, we've evolved to a Norcal type. We can influence a lot of people now. And we do. And so again, you can't make this stuff up. Like that story to me is still amazing. How did that even happen?
I'm a cold chills guy, and that gave me cold chills.
I got chills too. Yeah.
Bryson, did you get cold chills?
That's a great story for sure. That's awesome.
That's the beauty about being a coach, whether it's a 6U team, T-ball, or up to 18U I've seen, is just teaching kids something, giving them something to take away for life. Like you said, Mark, paying it forward. Sometimes coaches are the only people that's really adding structure to some kids' lives. And I take that role as a coach very serious myself.
Absolutely. We can make tremendous impact positively. And if we're not careful, we can be tremendously negative. So we got to be careful. We have an awesome responsibility.
I know, and I've seen that you have a thing called the 10 Commandments of Youth Sports. Would you like to walk us through what those are?
Well, I can tell you this. Pull them up on my screen. I don't have them memorized, but I'll give you the backdrop of the 10 Commandments of Youth Sports for sure. I love to do trainings for parents. The 10 Commandments for Youth Sports is what I call a practical guide for parents of young athletes. And the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I had to learn as a parent, just like all of us coming through this journey, what works and what doesn't work. And then when I got into a leadership role, I started mentoring parents. And I found out if they have a guideline, if they have parameters, it can be amazing. It can be a great experience. But if they don't have parameters and they don't have guidance, it can be a nightmare. It can be a complete chaos. And in fact, even, and some people might relate to this, unfortunately, it can even border on jeopardizing relationships. You want me to walk through each one, or do you want me to give you a couple of the highlights?
Just give us a couple of the highlights, and keep in mind our audience. We hope that we're pulling in the young player, the coach, and the parent. We've talked on this show a lot through. We've had Rich Coletta. He's a scout or a previous scout for the Mariners. We've had numerous guests on the show, and we've had Christy Moore, who was the umpire that was attacked in Mississippi by a parent. And we've talked numerous times on the show around what the appropriate behavior for the parent is. But I think it's not even appropriate behavior. It's just what role does the parent need to play in this child's development? Because I think what you alluded to is it can play a negative role, or it can play a very positive and supportive role.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a couple of my favorites. I mean, obviously I have 10, and in reality, I could probably have the 20 commandments. But I'll give you a couple that hit home with me and hit home with a lot of other people. So, for example, one of the commandments, and I have funny names for them, thou shalt not talk. I had to learn this one the hard way with my son. My son, Christian, is not a talker. At least he wasn't back then. He's become kind of a talker as an adult. But back then, he did not want to talk. Well, as you probably can imagine, I am. And most parents are. They want to talk about that game the second that last out is made. We get in the car and we just want to start talking about the game. The problem is the players don't. And the mistake the parents are making is they are forcing a conversation on their son or daughter that's not going to go well. And if they just take a step back and look at it, they can see why. And usually, unfortunately, the conversations don't start like, you had such an amazing game. Let's talk about all the web gems you made.
That's right.
The conversation's usually, how in the world did you let that ball go between your legs? That's the opening conversation.
Or it's, you just stood there and watched that third strike.
So who wants to get in the car after every game and hear that? So I did an experiment. I got in the car with Christian after a game. I wanted to talk about it, but I buttoned up my lip and I said, I'm not going to do it. We're driving down the road. 20 minutes go by, nothing. Half hour goes by, nothing. 45 minutes, hour, nothing. He's just sitting over there. Like I keep looking over to make sure he's not asleep. Nope. He's just sitting there. About an hour and 15 minutes into it, he goes, I should have swung at that 3-2 pitch. That's all he said. I said, yeah, probably. And then he said, I could have hit that kid. And I said, yeah, he probably could have. And I let him ease that conversation. And I learned something incredibly valuable that day. When he's ready to talk, he will talk and then I'll talk. But I'm not going to talk until he does. And I can't tell you how many parents I've shared that story with and they try it and sure enough, it works to a T because, you know, the kid has to want to talk about it. And I even say, and if they never bring it up, you're not allowed to bring it up either. If he never wants to talk about that error again, then you can't bring it up. And it really helped our relationship immensely. And it's helped a lot of other parents.
I could see that for sure. We've had that conversation. We had a mom's night out. We asked every single mom that question. What is the ride home like for you and your kids? And there was a different answer to every question we asked. But for the most part, it's talking about the errors that they had or the pitch that they missed or whatever. But no, I think you're right. Because they're thinking about it. We don't give them enough credit. They're thinking about it. They know. They don't need us to tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think honestly, and that's where, and Mark, my son, he's the kind of kid that's super hard on himself. Mm-hmm. So like, I'm trying to help him build his confidence up so the smallest little thing doesn't break him. He's starting to really love the game, but we're still getting there. But I have, and as you were talking, I've been that parent. I thought I knew better and I thought I could correct them on the way home and it'd be a simple conversation. And that conversation didn't go as simple as I would have wanted it, of course.
Yeah, it's so common. And I'm sure it flies in conflict with what other things in life maybe parents need to do. They need to talk about certain things. You're going to talk about your grades tonight, whether you want to talk about them or not. But when it comes to baseball and sports, I think we can make an exception there.
I completely agree.
I like it.
It ties into another one, and you touched on it, Aaron, and we have one. Thou shalt allow them to fail. This is a giant one too. And I know it sounds so cliche to say baseball is a game of failure. We all know that it is, but yet many of us don't treat it like a game of failure. So we act like the strikeout is so bad. The error is so bad. The loss is so bad. Hit by pitch to win the game. All those things are actually just another part of the game, but we want to focus on them and act like we can help them from never happening again. For example, in the U.S. Elite organization, there's a theme throughout the organization is it's okay to fail. We are going to fail. It's not like wonder if something bad is going to happen. We already know it is. What we have to really prepare for is how do we deal with when that happens? How do we handle the failure? And so parents, when they start allowing their kids to fail, when they're okay that they struck out 3 times and they had a lousy game, when they're like, you know what, that's going to happen. When that doesn't become the worst thing ever, all of a sudden this game gets a lot easier because we took the pressure of failing out of the equation because it sounds defeatist to say, hey, I'm going to fail. That means I'm going to make an error. I'm going to not have good games. That's the nature of baseball, more so than any game I know.
It is. When you even commit and you say, I want to play Major League Baseball one day, you're essentially signing up that 30%, a batting average of 300, would get you into the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
And so you're almost having to say, I'm going to fail a lot more than I succeed, but I can't stop trying.
And you watch the people playing at a high level, watch a major league game, watch what they look like when they make an error. Watch what they look like most of the time when they strike out. Even coaches. We have the double-A curve here in Altoona, and I'll go watch them play, and I'll pay so close attention to the coaches. I'll watch a 3-2 strike right down the middle, and the third base coach just walks off the field. He doesn't throw his arms up and start kicking the dirt, and he's not mad. He doesn't go in the dugout and throw a temper tantrum. Just, okay, our guy just took a third strike. Next inning is up. That's how they play at that high level, because can you imagine the roller coaster that you would be on if every high was a high and every low was a low and you acted it out?
Yeah.
That's true.
You'd be a basket case.
So since you've been doing this for 17 years at a high level, I mean, you pretty much out the gate were doing a very good job, it sounds like. Do you think that kids are different now than they were then in the manner of like instant gratification and how they deal with their emotions?
Yeah. I hate to sound like that old guy about the generational things.
But it's a thing.
Go ahead. It's okay.
It is a thing. I mean, at US Elite, we talk a lot about it. I can say, I don't think the kids were feeling the same pressure back when I started that they feel today with social media, and everybody wants to blame social media and everything. But when you think about it, everything's so magnified. And I think parents have gotten more involved. Let's be real. When I played, my parents weren't involved in anything. If I made the little league team, they said, congratulations. If I didn't, they said, keep trying. That was the extent of their involvement. Today, our parents, because of youth sports is a phenomenon, they're so much more involved. I think that puts pressure on the kids. Now money's involved. So imagine this, you're a kid and your parents are spending thousands of dollars on you to play baseball. You can't help but feel some of that pressure. And so you act differently because of that. So we're battling that all the time, trying to diffuse that.
Aaron, like you were talking about earlier, I was the same way as your son, real tough on myself growing up. And it literally took until my senior year of high school. I just loved the game so much. I kept playing, even though it would get under my skin so bad. It took me to my senior year of high school to really realize, like you're saying, you just got to move on. I had my best year ever, but thankfully my dad was never on my case real bad about it because he knew I was already hard enough on myself. And I think that's awesome. Like you're talking about that you do the whole with the parents and stuff, because I've had friends that didn't have dads like mine where he was like, hey, you're okay. You have another game next weekend. I've had friends that quit the game because of the strain at home because of it. And it's pretty cool. The whole 10 Commandments thing, that's awesome that a lot of parents need to really look at.
And I think in most cases, parents are trying to do what they think is best.
Yeah.
But what they forget is there's a reason in most cases, as the coach, Mark, there's a reason why you're in that position. And I'm going to have to give you some confidence and support you in the decisions you make. And too many times, and Mark, we primarily deal with a lot of little league. And too many times, parents want to dictate where their kids play. They want to dictate where their kid bats in the lineup. And sometimes, relationships are messed up for some of those things. What would you say about that?
Well, at US Elite, we have a training program for our players, our coaches, and our parents. And we call it the VTS. It's the Video Training Series. Now, picture 17 years of experience packed into these little training videos on certain topics that the parent has to, in this case, watch a video on the topic, take a little quiz, get all the questions right in order to move on to the next question, then complete that entire course. And in our case, I think it's up to 32 videos now. They have to do all that just to be eligible to go watch their son play for US Elite.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Now they get a cool t-shirt when they graduated. It says, I graduated from US Elite with a 4.0.
There you go.
The funny thing about it is they did, because you can't go through it and fail. You have to go through it and get everything right. But here's the point. When you start giving like I talked about parameters, you give these parents all these guidelines, basically, of how to deal with certain things. Then all of a sudden, they kind of fall in line. To me, I don't want to offend parents. It's kind of like children. When you give them structure, they're secure. When you give them wide open spaces, they are very insecure because they know they're not mature enough yet to handle wide open spaces, right? Just tell your, 14-year-old kid, hey, just come in anytime you want. It's good. 2:00 in the morning, that's fine. They won't be very secure. Parents, once they have those boundaries in our program, they're just relaxed and feeling good. And that's why we don't have much drama, because we've given them the boundaries.
That also shows me, though, as one of those parents, that you've committed a lot of time and effort into making sure this program is running correctly. And you're asking the parents to pledge and commit to the program as well. I think that's amazing.
Well, we're building a brand. And I always say you can't help us build a brand that you don't know what the brand stands for.
Right.
It's unfair to hold somebody to a standard that they don't even understand or know about. But then I joke with them. I say, but once you know, there's nowhere to hide. You can run, but you can't hide. So yeah, it's a win-win. I mean, the organization benefits, the players benefit, the parents benefit. So yeah, information is power for sure.
I agree. So we were talking before we started recording, and there's all of these travel teams that are popping up everywhere right now. The world of baseball continues to grow. You started it from the ground up, a very successful program. What was that first year like, and what would you say to anyone out there even considering starting a team?
Yeah, well, we probably all know Stephen Covey. He wrote the 7 Habits books.
Yep.
And I love everything he does. And one of the things, and everybody knows it, begin with the end in mind. So when we started, when my son was 13, the end was 4 years of developmental baseball, personal development, move on to the next level, prepared for the next level. That was the end in our little world. Now, obviously, that's not the end, because the kids are moving on to college and professional baseball and then on to life. But for us, I looked at it and said, man, we got 4 years of opportunity here. What can we pack into 4 years? And early on, I was very clear with people. This is very specific. This is not travel baseball. I don't ever really use that term, to be honest with you, because
Sure.
To me, a lot of the teams, and I'm not here to knock it, but the simplest definition to me of travel baseball is you get a uniform, you have a schedule, you have a coach, and you go play. That's what you do. And you travel around and play. Developmental baseball, personal development, preparation for college, that's a whole different ballgame. You do a lot of things differently when that's the goal. And so we started with the right goal. Believe it or not, 17 years later, even though many things have evolved, the one thing I would tell you has not evolved at all is that we're still focused on helping those kids prepare for the next level and prepare for life, the thing that we call uncommon standards. So we started with that early on, and it's evolved. It's gotten better and better, more and more refined. But the overall mission was the same then as it is now, believe it or not.
It sounds like if I enrolled my kid into your program, it's almost like putting Bryson in college again. We know hopefully when he comes out the other side of this tunnel, he's going to come out a well-prepared young man ready to take on life. I think that's freaking awesome. We see so much, especially in the rec ball league, where coaching is different. A kid shows a little bit of talent and we stop the coaching. That's the kid that we stop coaching, right? We're still playing with the kid that's building sandcastles in the front yard or whatever, but we stop coaching those kids that are some of our top tier players. And then they sort of develop this mentality of, I don't need to change. That's where I feel like we really do kids a disservice around. I worked in management for 25 years, and you're always strong as your weakest link, of course, you hear. But you've got to focus on that top tier level player, because that's the ones that want that attention and need it.
Well, that ties into another, you ask about the beginning. I was clear with everybody. This is a program designed to help a very small percentage of the population of baseball players. These are talented kids that you just mentioned. The really talented kids sometimes stop getting coached because you got to spend so much time over here helping these other kids. I really didn't want that scenario, so I separated these kids. I said, okay, you've got the ability, you've got the desire, you've got the support. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. And pretty soon we have 14 or 15 of those kind of kids on the same team. I hear about parents, maybe they're the parent of an elite kid and they're the only ones on the team that want to go play really, really tough competition because everybody else doesn't want to get beat 15-0.
Right.
They want to win.
Yeah, they want to win a trophy, so they stay home. Whereas I said, everybody, this is the plan. We're all in or all out, one or the other, and let's go. And, you got to be selective with that because that's not just line up, have a tryout, take the 14 best kids and go see what happens. Again, very specific approach.
Yeah. What was your record that first season? Do you know?
I don't know. I mean, we won. We made it to the final 8.
That was very on purpose.
You don't remember the record, yeah.
Right. Because the record's not important.
No, I couldn't tell you the record of any of our teams ever, honestly. I can tell you lots of funny stories, but I can't tell you wins and losses and that. I mean, I took a kid out throwing a no-hitter one time, and he was begging me to keep him in the game. And I said, man, this kid coming in, he's got a bunch of college coaches here to see him. We got to bring him in. And we brought him in, and he gave up a grand slam or something. We lost the game, and everybody's like, well, that wasn't a very smart move. And I said, we weren't focused on winning the game. We were focused on getting 2 kids innings in front of college coaches that day. It's not that big a deal.
My point in that question is we care so much about what those scores are right now. And we put those scores over development too many times. And honestly, when Jen and I first started, we said we were committed to making youth sports a little bit better than what it was when we found it. And that's one of the things that we stress is scores don't matter. Like what you said, you'll have those memories, those experiences, but that's what matters the most.
Yeah. We talk a lot about the effort to win. We always want to have the effort to win. But, some days the ball was 6 inches fair and it went in the favor of the opponent and they win. And some days it was foul and we win. And, the margin of error is so small sometimes. You can't have this giant swing. Today, I'm in a great mood. Let's go out and have ice cream because the ball was 6 inches fair and we win. Oh, no, we're not going to have ice cream. We're going home and we're going to hit because we lost. At US Elite, we don't have that mentality at all. And it's the same with batting average. I think since you're talking to a lot of youth people, there's way too much emphasis on stats and batting average. You want to know where some of this pressure is coming from. Kids sitting there with their calculator figuring out, if I go 2 for 4 tonight, I can get my batting average up over 400. And so they're focused. At US Elite and all the higher levels, all we talk about are quality at bats. We have a quality at bat chart in every dugout. And our kids are trained on what a quality at bat is. And a lot of parents listening might not realize this, but you can strike out and have an amazing at bat, a quality at bat.
Absolutely.
You can do a lot of the things that don't yield the end result you want, but it really was a quality at bat.
Oh, yeah.
The crazy thing about that is I work with the baseball team in South Carolina, and our college coaches talk about that all the time. I mean, even when they go to watch kids play, like they'll see your guys coming in this weekend. They will talk about it all the time. They're not going to say, oh, this kid had 3 hits. He went 3 for 3 because they could have all been 3 bloopers. A kid can go 0 for 3 and hit 3 balls really hard, and he may end up with an offer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know we don't want to keep you much longer, but I've got a few questions that I always ask. But before that, we get to that, tell people how we can find out more about you, your program, and those 10 Commandments of Youth Sports.
Sure. USEliteBaseball.com. USEliteBaseball.com. We have a ton of information on our website. There's prospect forms there. There's videos there. There's just so much information. We get a lot of mileage out of our website. We are on Twitter. If you just type in US Elite Baseball, it'll find us. We try not to be too hard to find. If there are people out there looking for the type of experience that we're talking about, we're really open to talking to those people. Our goal is to make a positive difference in this whole thing called youth sports. So we're building a wave of people that are kind of on board with this concept.
Yeah. And even if I'm listening to this and I'm in California or I'm in Texas, if I'm a coach, I want to learn more. Coaches always have to be coachable. Approach it with an open mind because there's a lot that they can learn from listening to other coaches talk.
For sure. And we are building a network of coaches across the country. Our strategy, just so you know, of growth is to recruit coaches who will in turn build US Elite style teams based on uncommon standards. So I like to call it the good guy network. We're building a bunch of guys across the country that are sort of like-minded. And as we get bigger and bigger, we're going to have more and more influence.
Yeah. What states are you represented in today?
Well, we've got teams in Florida. We got teams in Georgia. We got teams in North Carolina, Pennsylvania, all the Mid-Atlantic, Ohio. We have teams in Missouri. We don't have too much going on out west right now, but we have a position called the state director. And those guys are the guys that want to help us actually build US Elite in a particular state. So that's a pretty exciting opportunity for people that really want to get involved in the growth of our organization.
I mean, honestly, even as a coach, I'm someone who I get inspired by listening. I've listened to a lot of your speeches and you inspire me a lot. So I'm the kind of person that I want to learn more and I want to talk more and pick your brain more because that'll only make me stronger. All right. So last question we got, Mark, and we're going to keep it light on this one so you can relax. If you were walking up to bat today, what's your walkout song?
Boy, my son picked the walkout song that I think I would pick.
Okay.
I'm a Tornado. Do you know that song? It's a country song.
Is it a newer country song?
Nah, it's probably about 8-9 years old. I don't even know who sings it. It's a country band.
I'm sure I've heard it.
Is it the band Perry?
No, it's not the band Perry. It's somebody like that.
Or Little Big Town?
Little Big Town. I think that's who it is.
Oh, yeah. I think I do remember that. Yeah.
You want me to sing it?
Yeah. One of our interviews before we had, and I told the kid, I was like, I don't know if I remember that song. He ended up singing it for us on the show. That was Felix. He was a great one. So go back and listen to that one for all you guys that are listening to our show. Awesome, Mark. Well, thank you very much for your time, sir.
My pleasure. You guys do a great job. I commend you. We talked a lot about me tonight in US Elite, but I just want to say, man, what you guys are doing, bringing the information to the parents and the young players, invaluable. Keep doing what you're doing and bringing all these great people onto these calls because the information that you're bringing to them is really going to change things for them. So congratulations to you.
And what we've learned, and just to touch on that, is it's so different in pockets of the country. And you may be in an area where you're not getting the attention or you don't have the teams around you to quite learn like you want to, and where we can bring your information to people. We connect dots all over the country so that kids can develop. That's our goal. So thank you very much for that compliment, sir.
Absolutely. We're here any way we can help at any time. We're here.
Well, the next kid you got coming up, you want to get some kids on the show, send them our way. We'd love to have some of your kids on the show because I think that would be a great example of we heard him talk. Now,
your culture. Yeah.
That's an open book test, Jen. We're going to have to surprise him in a random time. Say, give us 2 players today and see who he's got. Can't give him the open book test.
Oh, yeah. That'd be fantastic.
Awesome. Jen, did you have a question?
Well, I was just going to say, just kind of piggyback on that part. It's a testament to the hard work that you've done, Aaron. I show up and I talk to these people. Aaron does so much work in the background, scheduling people and getting all these people together. So for the people that are listening right now, Mark, you hit on the structure of practice and how practices should be run. And we talked about that with Justin from Just in Time Baseball. He was on the show. And then you mentioned it's like everything is just coming back around. You're bringing up stuff that other people have also said, and it just verifies that the game should be fun. This is how people should act as coaches and as parents. And it's just the great unifier baseball is.
It really is.
And I've had this conversation with Jen before, and I think it would be really cool to have other coaches in your position similar throughout the country on a call. And for us to really just talk about what the state of youth baseball is right now. And then can we adapt? Maybe can we pull Little League in and say, hey, we've got this whole committee of coaches looking to want to improve Little League sports. I'd love to be able to put something like that together because we see all these teams that just came through the Little League World Series. There's no doubt that they got superior coaching. They got it. But I always want to make sure that those kids that don't have those resources available, we find ways to connect to those kids. And I think having coaches from all over, I think there's power when it comes to us getting together, and not me, but the brains of the country of how youth baseball should be ran. I think we can make some changes.
100%. I'd be happy to help you spearhead that.
Awesome. Well, Mark, thank you very much, sir, for your time.
Thank you.
All of our listeners, we'll catch you on the slide.
Thanks for listening to the Slide Podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. In the meantime, stay connected with Coach Jen and Aaron on Instagram at The Slide Podcast Show, on Facebook at The Slide Podcast, and the Facebook private group, The SLIDE Podcast. Until next time.